everyone, and welcome to the 27th episode of the Positively Disney Phone-In Podcast. I'm Kimberley Bouchard, and I am your podcast host and the author of the Positively Disney book series, from where this show stems from. I wanted to create something for you guys to interact and share stories of positivity amongst Disney family and friends. And I want to just welcome onto the show. I see Abigail is on. Beth, hello, Beth, and to my husband, Jacques. I want to also welcome my Twitch viewers and a special welcome to my Canadian family and friends joining me tonight on their holiday Monday. It was really interesting when I moved to the US about 7 years ago. I thought that everybody in North America celebrated the May long weekend at the same time, but actually in the US, we celebrated a week after Canada. And in Canada, it's called Victoria Day today, and it's in celebration of Queen Victoria. And Victoria, British Columbia, the actual city, the capital of British Columbia, is very special to me because that's where I met my husband over 27 years ago now. And he's the one that introduced me to Walt Disney World. So I think about all the things that had to line up in order to first meet him and then to be introduced to Walt Disney World by my husband. And I think, gosh, if I never would have met him, I wouldn't be doing this podcast, that's for sure. And I definitely wouldn't have been such a massive fan of all things Disney, that's for sure. Before I go on, I do want to put something out there to anybody plugged in to cast members or whatnot. I got a request from someone that a little 5-year-old princess lost her autograph book that she had filled with autographs on her vacation with the characters. And if there's anybody out there that knows somebody or has a connection, that there is some way we can pull together to get different characters to sign an autograph book and get it to her, please let me know. I just thought I'm going to just put it out there. I told the fellow that reached out to me that I would put it out there on the podcast tonight to see if there was any possibility of helping this little one out. A big hello to Stan. Hi, Stan. We are actually going to be meeting up with each other. We did meet briefly last summer, and I'm very excited to say that I just got this in the mail the other day. And if you can't see it very well, it is from the Disney Cruise Line. It is about my trip to Alaska that is in less than 30 days on the Wonder. And that is the only ship that I have never sailed on. And I'm really excited about it for a variety of reasons. There's so many different Disney Facebook friends that I'm actually going to meet on the trip. And the beauty about it too is that I just have to drive a couple of hours to the port in Vancouver, Canada, which is a real change from taking a ship out of Port Canaveral for sure, which is, of course, a flight across the country to do so. One thing I was talking about last week was my experience in the special restaurant created after, it was Leah Chase's restaurant, Dookie Chase's restaurant, and it was after Princess and the Frog Tiana was created in recognition of Leah Chase. And on the Wonder, as some of you may or may not know, there is a restaurant. One of the restaurants is called Tiana's Place. And so I look forward to experiencing what the ambiance and the decor are going to be like for that place. The number to call, guys, I forgot to tell you, 844-483-4763 if you would like to call in and share a Disney experience or something. Beth says, I heard about that little girl. I might be able to do that. Gee, Beth, that would be absolutely phenomenal. This, people hear about things through the Disney network. And that's why I thought, you know what, I'd put it out there to see if it's possible, if anything can happen. Well, guys, I don't know if you have ever been on a surprise Disney trip. Now, I know Beth is local, and some of you guys watching are local around the Disney park. So maybe it might not be a total surprise trip for you. But there was a year that my husband took me to Walt Disney World as a surprise when we were living in Canada. And I'll never forget my mom coming over to help me pack for said trip. And she was really kind of switching it up a bit and saying that I needed my raincoat, rain boots. Oh, I definitely needed hiking boots for sure, and a whole other pile of things. And it was interesting because my husband managed to pull off the surprise all the way up until we boarded our second plane, of course, at the gate. Even going through customs, he let the customs guy know that not to say anything to me because it was a surprise, and they were really good sports and went along with it. I'm not too sure if this day and age, if they would go along with that. I'm not too sure, but it was a really lovely surprise and something that happened on that trip that was just kind of the icing on the cake. Is really good friends of ours, and she was actually a bridesmaid in my wedding party. They had already planned a trip there, and they were going to celebrate their anniversary. So it was a really interesting way of just kind of meeting up. We didn't, of course, spend the whole time with them at all. We met up with them a couple of times and had dinner. But the place we did meet up that I told everybody we were going to talk about today is Pleasure Island. But before I go on to that, Beth is talking about her daughter that's a cast member, knows a lot of people who are friends with characters, and she can certainly stand in line for some. Also, I can work on that. What is her name? The little girl. Beth, I will find out the name of the little girl tonight. I'll message my friend tonight and get that information to you. That would be absolutely phenomenal, Beth. And Beth, I plan on meeting you when I head there at the end of June. I hope that we can, that I'm pretty sure you'll be in the park at one point while I'm there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you and meeting you. You're such an awesome person. At any rate, Pleasure Island was the place to be for a lot of young singles, young couples, even older couples hung out at Pleasure Island. Pleasure Island was part of what is Disney Springs, and it's all developed in that. And one thing that was really, I loved about that place, I mean, first of all, it was nothing like you could have imagined. It was full entertainment, and it actually was closed to families, young children, and I think it was about after 8 p.m. in the evening. So after 8, you had to be at least 18 years of age and older to be in there. So I don't know if any of you guys remember this place, but it does hold a really special place in my heart. The Adventurers Club. Now, the Adventurers Club in Pleasure Island, actually, Pleasure Island was actually named Pleasure Island because of a fictional character named Meriwether Adam Pleasure. And there's kind of a backstory about him. He was the previous owner of the island, and all the different places in Pleasure Island had backstories to them. Beth says, I miss it, especially the Adventurers Club. Exactly. The Adventurers Club is something I thought I'd focus on because there's a lot of really interesting things about Pleasure Island. But I just remembered actually the other day when I was planning for the show that I actually had, well, my husband had it. It was a denim jacket with the Adventurers Club on the back. And I really hope I can find it because I know it wouldn't probably fit me or fit my husband. You know, we were a bit of a different size. Maybe it'd be too big now. I'm not too sure, but I loved the logo in the back. And I'll talk about Adventurers Club in a moment, but you know what? There really was an Adventurers Club that was created in 1903, and it was called End of the Earth Club. And two of the members you might be familiar with. There's over 100 members, that pretty, powerful businessmen. One of the members was actually Mark Twain, our very own Mark Twain, and a fellow named Gutzon Borglum, who was the sculptor of Mount Rushmore. So those two actually belong to the real Adventurers Club that was created in 1903, which I thought was really cool. So the fellow last name Cox and Joe Rhoda, Joe helped create Animal Kingdom, and he, and amongst, of course, his team of Imagineers and that, did create Pleasure Island. Let's get back to the Adventurers Club. The Adventurers Club was brilliant because it was an interactive, improvisational comedy club. So every show would be a different show. You would have various characters. There were, I think there's 3 or 4 different maids that with different names. There was the mysterious gypsy, the butler, the absent-minded curator. There was an aviator who was a ladies' man, and there was an explorer. And he was, these guys were all involved in the shows. And something that was really fun, that as a guest, you would walk in there and you were given names as an adventurer, considered an adventurer or explorer yourself, or you're just considered a drunk, and they would make fun and play around with you. So there is a lot of stories to be told about the Adventurers Club. And I really had such a wonderful time in that place. And it's hard to believe that it's been closed for 10 years now. However, the cast did come back together to do a couple of interesting shows. And I'm going to put a hold on that thought and take my next caller. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kimberley. It's Beth.
Oh, hi, Beth. I was curious to know if you're going to call in, because I know you are very familiar with the Adventurers Club, aren't you?
Oh, I love the Adventurers Club. We went every single time. It was wonderful. I miss it so much.
I do too. It something about that place, it was just good, clean fun, wasn't it?
Yes, definitely. And so many awesome stories. One of my favorite is we honeymooned in 1993 at Disney World, and we went to Pleasure Island one evening. And I'm married to a husband that does not drink. Amazingly, 25 years Army, and he hasn't touched a drop. Okay. Yeah. He's just one of those kind of people. Yeah. I am not. Okay. I like a drink on occasion. Sure. And so while we were there, just soaking up the atmosphere and all the improv going on around us, we walked into the mask room. If you recall, the mask room is one of the rooms where you could go sit and wait. And so we sat down and were waiting. And I was on my first drink, but it was a Long Island iced tea. Oh, yeah. So had one of those. It's got a lot of punch to them. And I'm sitting here with my new husband who does not drink. And I all of a sudden started noticing that some of the mask's eyes were moving. And I was like, I am not about to say anything, because he is going to make fun of me because I'm drinking. And I'm a little paranoid, and I'm thinking, is it really moving? And then pretty soon, all of a sudden, he says next to me, he goes, oh my God, the mask, the eyes are moving. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. Oh my God. Okay, it's really good. And then, the thing began in there, and a lot of fun happened. But I remember when we went into the main area, I don't know, what is that, the big library or something, where they did the big radio show and everything. Yeah. And when we were coming out of that, they funnel you through the back hallway where the bathrooms are, and then they push you back out into the main salon. Right. And everybody who was walking out, there was a skit going on at the time. So as we were flooding out, everybody who walked through out into that salon got hammered with a joke, and they started making fun of everybody who walked through. And I was just like, Richard, let's just stand here for a minute. So we stood at the bathrooms and listened and laughed. But I was like, I am not going out there. Oh, it was so interesting. I know that
they had a variety of rooms, of course, that you could go into,
Oh,
and
yeah.
there'd be different shows going on. And I remember the second time that I went there, I didn't realize that there were a variety of rooms, and so I was kind of expecting a similar show, same show or whatever. And then it's like all of a sudden it got funneled into a side room, and something else started going on. And I think it was the mysterious
Right.
gypsy that was there doing her thing or what. It was the coolest thing because, a lot of times, for example, like the Citizens of Hollywood and Hollywood Studios, I mean, they're great fun, improv, interactive in that. And you don't really, and I mean, there's a few on Main Street USA too, but to have them all in one section, all those guys, it was just, it would have been just the coolest thing if they could bring something like that back, because there's enough room in Disney Springs. I'm sure it would be a hit, even if they have to do a little, I don't know, revamping of it or whatever, updating. But I loved the old school whole adventurer thing. Just loved it.
Absolutely. I mean, there is a movement. There has been a movement since they closed of adventurers who have been really pushing toward trying to get them back. I mean, I remember after they closed, I saw some of the actors. You started seeing them at Hollywood, and all you had to do is say Congolese to them. They knew immediately.
Yeah,
they knew immediately who you were.
Yeah,
they were like, and then they would break character just enough to do Congolese back, and then they were back into their new character at Hollywood Studios. There's a huge fan club of Adventurers Club people. I really wish they'd bring it back. I mean, they brought in Enzo's Hideaway, which is very kind of old school 1920s stuff, and I mean, there's several different themed restaurants around there that I don't see why they couldn't slide that in. But of course, it went to, they're using that as Edison's now and everything. And I'm heartbroken because all of those actors were amazing. If you've ever been to any kind of improv, how hard it is to do that. I mean, it takes such skill.
It really does. Oh my gosh, it really does. Several years ago, I actually did improv every Friday night, not for shows or anything. There was talk about doing shows. Oh my gosh, those improv people, they are very, very, they are very intelligent. First of all, they don't kid yourself. These guys that pretend that they're not,
absolutely,
super intelligent to pull what they need to pull immediately and to go with the moment. I think it's the most difficult thing. I mean, there's so many things that are scripted out there, and to improv a lot is absolutely phenomenal. And I know I really, really loved that place too. And I thought I'm going to be I want to talk about different places that, even though we don't have them, I still want to talk about them because it brings back such great memories, and most
definitely.
Yeah. And there, there's just a lot of people, as Walt Disney World evolves and some of these jewels do go away, and sometimes they return in a different, way. And there's a lot of people that have never heard about these different places. And I don't want those memories to die. I really want to bring them forward, and you never know, Beth, right? If somebody says, what, maybe we should bring this back. When you think about sort of the whole mechanism of the wheels that go with Disney, they don't always reinvent the wheel. Think about some of the, the stories that are told and the animations and movies and stuff. A lot of those are basic stories that have been told before. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking, wouldn't it be so cool, right, if they could do that? But we'll see. We can keep our fingers crossed.
You definitely you need to start doing a little research. But there is definitely kind of like a movement or an adventurers club. People still out there voicing their opinion and still trying. So we just more of us need to get into it and Disney listens. Disney watches to see, you know,
Sure.
the trends and what their guests want.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
all
I'll
of you
check it out.
Adventures Club people, let's band together and let's keep talking about it.
For sure. And I'm going to be on the hunt for that jean jacket that had the Adventurers Club back, because it was the coolest. It was very large, but it was so cool. So I have to get myself fired up to kind of go through some.
Well, I don't know if you recall, but whoever was basically picked, especially when we were in the library for the big radio scene, they always brought someone up.
Yeah.
And they always gave that person an adventurer's pin.
Yeah.
And it wasn't something that anybody could just get.
Right.
It was only if you were picked.
Yes.
And those are so hard to find.
Oh, yeah.
And they are so expensive on eBay.
Yeah. Oh.
But it was really a wonderful thing to get if you were ever picked.
Yeah.
So those things are really great too.
Yeah.
But,
you know, and something too that so there is some improv involved. I mean, there's a little bit of a script and some improv involved, is at the Monsters, or the Laugh Floor, I should say, you know, in Magic Kingdom, right? And
a
wee bit. But what I was thinking about is when you are picked, you are given something, and it isn't a pin, but my husband was picked. I think it's a sticker.
Yeah, it was. Floor.
Yeah, and he was. I think believe it or not. I mean, this is kind of what are the odds of that? But I think he was chosen a couple of times, and he was chosen as that guy in that particular
guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we've got that sticker, that guy, you know, up with on one of our frames or whatever. So that it's just kind of fun that, you know, there still are some interactive things to a certain extent, you know. And
if you should know me by now and follow me enough to know that I'm a huge Citizens of Hollywood fan.
Yes, I know.
I catch their skits. They actually kind of know me now. I don't know if that's embarrassing or not.
Well, I'm not surprised.
They do. Gosh. In fact, I have one of those actors following me on Instagram because I post so many great pictures of them.
Sure.
And so Cameron, who plays I'm sorry, who's friends with, should we say that?
Yes, friends with
Stone Granite. And he's the one who says fantastic and thinks so much of himself and everything. He's one of the greats in there. But I mean, they truly do have to think on their feet. They are constantly walking around and talking to people and so forth. And it's not just their standard skits at noon, 1, 2:30, and 3:30, but they walk around and they talk to people, and they just have to be ready for anything. They're just so witty and so smart.
Well, yeah, and you never know what you're going to encounter with a guest. You will never know. You know, even I'm thinking about one encounter I saw with Gaston and a couple of these girls that went up to him. And they actually screamed in both of his ears. Like, he was just startled. You could see he was startled. He didn't break character, but he was startled. And I thought, you are going to get some of those guests that go kind of over the top with things. And if they see an opportunity to interact, you know, I was just going to say, Beth, Stan just was wondering, what do you do to get picked? There's really nothing to do. They just kind of randomly pick you out, because actually I was picked in the Laugh Floor one time, and I had to be an alien. And oh my gosh. Now, you guys don't know this about me, but I actually am kind of a shy person. Nobody believes that, but I am really. And so to make alien sounds and alien antennas with the camera on you, and my gosh, that was hard to do, but it's all good fun. And I, you know, if anybody is heading to the parks, try to seek out the Citizens of Hollywood and interact with them.
Absolutely.
Go to the Laugh
A lot
Floor.
of people say that they've never stopped and watched. And I'm like, You really should try.
Yeah.
It'll be so worth it.
Yeah.
My favorite one that they do is the National Parade. Have you ever seen them do that?
Oh.
It's where they just have two citizens of Hollywood out, and they don't really tell anybody kind of what they're doing as far as they keep the street kind of open, and they say, oh, it's the 21st annual National Parade, but it's whoever walks in front of them is afloat to them.
They follow that.
And so then they talk about it or whatever. And so pretty soon people start to catch on and start avoiding that area, but they just go and grab them and pull them down and talk to them. But that's improv right there, because they have no idea who's going to walk by. They have to have something to say about them. And it's just wonderful to see. It's true talent. It really is. And it's worth stopping even just for a few minutes. Yeah. So all your listeners, stop and watch, because you will get a real giggle, and it will be so much fun. Yeah. And they're great.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Beth, for sharing with us tonight. And I have to just tell you, so our anniversary, we got married in 1993 as well. So there you go.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Yes, we're in August 7th. What are you?
We're August 14th.
You know what? We were supposed to get married on the 14th, but we had to back it up because of where we wanted to get married. Oh, that's really? So hilarious.
Oh, that's
really very good day.
Yeah, it was. And actually, our daughter was born on August 7th. Not a week before the wedding, three years after, but.
Okay. I was like, wow.
No. Yeah. No, but it was.
Well, wonderful. Well, happy 25th coming up then. We have a big year.
Yeah, we do. And I will catch you in Florida for sure, Beth. So I'll PM you a little bit tonight. Okay.
End of June, definitely.
Yeah, sounds good.
And let me know about that little girl.
I will. I sure will. I will. Okay. Thanks, Beth, so much.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Kimberly. Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
I just want to say hi to Todd and Donna Jo watching. Todd, were you that guy as well? I'm kind of curious to know if you were taken by surprise and chosen as well. Something about on the Adventurers Club, though, as well, is anybody that may or may not remember this, every night, like every single night without fail on Pleasure Island, they celebrated New Year's. So a few minutes to 12, they would kind of shut down different things that would allow people to go out to catch the fireworks and the countdown to midnight. And I remembered it was the craziest thing, because it was just as big a New Year's party as it would have been on New Year's Eve. And the night that we were there with our friends, it was so cool. And speaking of Friends, remember the show Friends and the intro song, their theme song, I'll Be There For You. And it was by the Rembrandts. And that night, the Rembrandts were playing. And it was the coolest thing to actually see. Now, you have to remember, living in Canada, especially back at that time, if you wanted to go hear somebody that was actually, anybody or that you would be familiar with, you had to go to pay at a concert. And so that was really special for us to listen to the Rembrandts on that particular time when we were there visiting. And Todd said, I got at least twice. Oh, you get picked about twice every visit. Are you picked as that guy every visit, or are you picked to do something else? My gosh, that's amazing. Actually, you've got it down to a science, I guess, actually. Anyways, so any of you that want to check out Pleasure Island, or what was Pleasure Island, there are different things set up, of course, on our wonderful internet that can tell you about that. I wanted to share with you something else that I'm quite excited about. And I found out today that I have to wait a few weeks. But I bought a vehicle on Friday, and I call it Cinderella Blue. So I'm really happy about my new vehicle. And I thought, well, it's going to give me the opportunity to get a personalized plate. And I did check for a personalized plate. I'm not going to tell you what is going to be on it, but definitely it's going to be Disney related. And I found out when I was checking for the different availabilities of this particular word that it is the last word of its kind in Washington State with the combination of digits, numbers, and letters and things like that. So I can't wait. Once I have that license plate, I will show you. But unfortunately, it's going to take a while because I can't order it until I get the regular plates in. I've just got a temporary one. So I was really, really excited about that. Todd, churros, Stan, I've been the churro guy. Okay. Oh, Stan, no. I've got people guessing. Hey, that's kind of fun. Maybe you guys can guess what my plate is going to be. That would be kind of fun to see some of your ideas and names on there. Anyways, I've had a bit of a jam-packed week. And some of you know that I have 3 children. The oldest just graduated from University of Washington the end of March, and she's going to take a year off and then do her master's in architecture. But my 2 sons, one had finished a college AA and was just kind of in a holding pattern to go to a specialized university nearby. And my youngest was also applying to the same university. It's a private university. And I'm so excited, and you'll understand why I'm so excited in a minute, but they both got accepted into this university. My second acceptance, the child that got accepted, he actually had to work on an art portfolio for the school and was accepted within a week. They were really, really excited about his work. One thing I am so excited about this school is these are some of the instructors. There are 9 former Disney animators. We're talking animators that worked on The Lion King, Mulan, Brother Bear, Pocahontas, Rescuers Down Under. I'm trying to think, what are some of the others that they worked on? Anyways, 9 former Disney animators are there, including the former technical director of Pixar. Those are just some of the staff there. My son, who is the artist, is will be working on a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Digital Arts and Animation. And my other son will be doing computer science in real-time interactive simulation. So think about it as artificial intelligence. So I'm so excited, and really wonderful thing about it is the university campus is only half an hour from us. And there are 2 others in the world. There's one in Singapore and one in Barcelona, Spain. And the way that the semesters go, they can go to any campus in the world and just continue on their program. So in a few years, they're going to do a study abroad. We try to facilitate that for our kids. Our daughter went to University of London for a term, and these guys are going to head to Singapore. So when they eventually get to Singapore for a semester, we're going to go to Shanghai Disney and anything we can overseas, since they are going to be in Asia anyways. But I was just so excited. I wanted to share with you. And I'm very proud of my kids. I must say, I feel very, very blessed that they work so hard to get where they need to go. And before my artist guy had a chance to submit his portfolio, they always like to do a review. So one of the animators, who is the chair of the program, did a portfolio review, and was very happy. So I don't know what's going to happen, if he's going to be working for Walt Disney Studios or Pixar or whatever, but he is very he really thinks outside the box, and he's got a real gift. He's been really given a gift. And I know a lot of people out there don't necessarily support the arts or artists. And I'm always been a firm believer in supporting the passions that your children and your friends, anybody, if they're passionate about something, to encourage that, particularly those that are in the arts field, because I'll tell you, our world would be a very different place if we didn't have our amazing, beautiful artists to create beautiful paintings and music and experiences for us. And I consider, many of the cast members, the Imagineers, even those. I'll bring up Beth's daughter. She creates these amazing goodies at the circus tent at Magic Kingdom and Fantasyland. Beth, please tell me the name of the venue, the tent that I can't remember off the top of my head, where she creates these beautiful creations, these tasty, delicious creations. So I just really am very happy for them, and happy that we are able to support those endeavors and not kind of veer them off that path, because almost every animator that and Disney artist that I've interviewed for the different books, they have all said that when they were younger, they had been discouraged to follow that dream. And in my fourth book, that I'm hoping I'll be half finished by the end of May, I'm really working hard to do that. Some of the animators in there tell these amazing stories of how they became animators. There is also a really, really fun story of, I'm sure some of you have seen him around. His name is Steve Dunlap, and he is one of Walt Disney World's DJs. He's one of the most popular and sought after DJs in Walt Disney World, and his story is in the book. And I'm going to take a snippet of an experience out of his book and share with you next week, because as I said, I love to go down the memory lane, so to speak, for Walt Disney World and share with people. It's fun to share those memories, but also tell people a little bit about what was there as well, that made it so magical back then as well. And I will give you a little hint what we're going to be talking about. It was in Hollywood Studios, and it was, again, kind of an audience participation type of deal. Really a lot of fun. My husband and I were chosen for something that I will share with you next week on the next podcast. Beth was just saying, oh yes, okay, Storybook Circus, that big tent in the back where they have lots of merchandise and they have all the goodies in the counter. And she also paints. She's really creative CM. I bet she is. I really bet she is. And Beth is very fortunate to have her daughter working there and nearby and loving every minute of it. Well, I guess that is our show for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to seeing you next week at the same time, 4:00. And please have a wonderful week, everybody. And be safe. Take care. Bye for now.